Why hello and welcome back to another Epic 7 video. Today we're going to be covering the balance patch. Now listen, I'm going to respect your time. Pirate Flan buffs, quote unquote buffs, not real. Closer Charles starts with a one turn evasion. Honestly, could make him work, question mark. My hands are in the air. Archdemon Shadow, just makes her S1 100%, that's it. I guess S3 has a higher chance to defense break. Not a big deal, in my opinion. Eligos got an interesting buff. Euphine got an interesting buff. Sinful Angelica also got an interesting buff, but I just want to talk about Chloe. I don't know, man. So, Eligos, what changed with him is basically S2 gives him Gab, so you can just build your Eligos max crit chance. No need to be picky with your stats. S1, dual attacks with Gab, and boom, S3 inflicts resource reduction. Before we get into Chloe, because Chloe's my main thing, yeah? Euphine, S2 is just an AoE defense break. Wow, amazing. The 50 millionth Euphine change in a row. And now she has this thing where, if enemy is debuffed, you get 20% CR. So I definitely see an opener where you just go Euphine Ahmed or something. Anyways, you move on. Sinful Angelica S1 defense breaks instead of attack down. Actually huge. And she also just has the Bryceria enemies cannot revive. I dislike this, personally speaking, because I think conditions with no... conditions without conditions. That is basically what it is. Like, certain effects, if I have this buff, I ignore AR. I'm perfectly fine with. If I'm below this much HP, I have this effect. Completely understandable. But, hey, just by existing, I do this thing. Like, come on, bro. You could have spent some time with that. Sigurd Scythe, you no longer need to be under 50% HP to get the attack. And offer you counter reviews, which is Eligos artifact. So basically, yeah. If you do more than half health of the enemy's damage in a single attack, you push up your team by 15%. It's basically the single target version of Renewed Will. Now, let's talk about the Chloe changes. The changes I'm actually here for. Chloe, my favorite unit in the game, actually, design-wise. As a character, I love Chloe the most. So, S2 grant attack buff to the caster for 3 turns. I don't know. Wow, we really just took an exclusive equipment and we put it here. Now, to be fair, it gives her attack buff, then it attacks. So, fair enough. Could be a DPS increase. Magic Nail, when attacked, inflicts additional damage proportional to the attacker's attack. Now, this is a PvE nerf, 100%. PvP, this is basically a Uberius. Now, the issue is, it's not Chloe's attack, it's the attacker's attack. So, it doesn't matter if you're attacking with a Soul Weaver, Alaya, or something of that nature. So, PvP, it's pretty bad. PvE, you just lost the percent max health damage. What is that? Like, it's so disappointing. Anyways, S3, if enemy has Magic Nail, ignores effect resistance. Decreases damage dealt. Yeah, because Chloe's damage is so scary, we needed to reduce this. So, not only did we remove this condition, but we decreased the damage. What are we doing? Again, Chloe has a 20 soul burn, by the way, which you can soul burn for her S3, yet it does less damage than an LQC S3, than a Light Aiden S3. Like, it's insane. Anyways, let's look at the exclusive equipment changes. So this has been applied to her S2. We don't care. What replaces it? S3 increases combat readiness by 15%. Smilegate, whoever okayed this, I wish hellfire upon your family. And yes, I am putting this on the record. Now let's look at the S2. So this thing dispels all buffs before applying Magic Nail. Now, I could argue this was a bad effect, because the Magic Nail ignores effect resistance, but the Dispel doesn't ignore doesn't ignore effect resistance. And obviously, if it did, it would be too broken. They just gave you 20% more damage on S3. Now, let's look at this. Number 1, we lose this effect where if enemy has Magic Nail, you do more damage. And to top it all off, they removed damage. They straight up took damage from the ability. What are we doing? What is this? So the first one, completely useless, and the second one is also useless. Alright, I have hope. So they removed the S3 defense break, but they made it a 85%. So we went from 100% to 85%, as if Chloe needed more RNG. So when enemy is targeted with Magic Nail, ignores effect resistance. Listen, I can see this to a degree. Maybe you can go some schizo Chloe S2 S3 with Ahmed. Maybe. Like I'm not disapproving that. I'm just saying, why now? People are using Chloe for PvE purposes to one-shot Banshee with their strays. They're using her for that. But the fact that they remove her PvE usage, while in turn not even giving her any PvP usage, is insane to me. Now listen, if this S2, if Magic Nail hits for 5k damage, if it's 1-to-1, if you have 4k attack and Magic Nail does 4k attack, maybe. And that's like hard copium on my end. Maybe. Now, one thing I've always said to people, whenever I used Chloe, I would say something like, hey, we should make Magic Nail a 4-time effect, where, okay, you apply Magic Nail, and essentially whenever an ally attacks it, it puts 1 stack. And each stack does 10% of the enemy's, 5% of the enemy's max health, right? And so when you inflict the 4th stack, the enemy gets nailed, where basically they take a burst of damage and they get stunned. And the stun ignores ER. Now that's my proposition. They could have done that. Now listen, I'm getting tired with this. This is like the second Chloe change, or I don't know. It's been a while since they changed Chloe. I genuinely don't remember. Oh, yeah. So, her last buff gave her this 50% CR. Was not enough. They gave her exclusive equipment. Was not enough. I'm tired. Stop balancing her around Magic Nail. You removed Magic Nail effect here. And S1 doesn't even have... actually, no. S1 still has the effect where if the enemy is Magic Nailed, you do more damage. So, I'm confused, man. I genuinely am confused. What are we doing with Chloe? If you introduce 5 Chloes and each one of them has a Magic Nail effect, I can understand that. I can get behind that. But we're not doing that. So I ask you again, what are we doing with Chloe? Instead of balancing your useless 3-stars and some of your useless 4-stars, instead of buffing Maya, instead of buffing Fighter Maya, instead of going at, I don't know, Crozet, a unit that has never had any relevance anywhere. Hey guys, I think today I'm gonna give Chloe attack buff before she attacks. Now, unless, and this is like hard copium on my end, unless they give her S1 something like, oh, if enemy is Magic Nailed, the Magic Nail effect does triple damage. I can see it, just completely obliterates units like ML Ilanov and stuff. But, see, here's what's gonna happen. You're gonna S2 ML Ilanov, and then Ilanov is just gonna S3 kill your Chloe. So, again, PvE, PvP, she's not real. This just makes me sad, man. They just abandon Magic Nail. I'm sorry, just abandon it. If Magic Nail is just impossible to balance, both PvE and PvP, just remove it. So many bosses are immune to percent max damage that, unfortunately, Magic Nail is just never used. So many bosses are immune to the stun. So, yeah. Man, I'm just disappointed. And I really hoped for more. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye. I guess last patch really was a fluke. It was a good patch. Some of it was placebo, but at the end of the day, some meaningful changes happened. This patch, I'm not sure. I read this stuff, I'm not too excited. You've seen players going through their rework for the 3rd time this year, or, I don't know, this 2 years. I guess Angelica buff makes her better at one-shots now. If you build some effectiveness, she can just defense break with S1. That's really about it. Like, I guess Archdemon Shadow players are cheering. Finally, my S1 is 100%. My unit can actually proc S2 consistently. Except I genuinely think Archdemon Shadow is one of the worst units in the game. I hate that unit with a passion. I think a Archdemon meta is just a sad meta. But even then, Archdemon isn't a big deal. Just the Great Mortellix exists, so she won't counter. So honestly, they make Archdemon Shadow buff look like a small deal. And now we got Chloe. I'm just repeating myself at this rate. Again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm disappointed. Goodbye.